Hello, everyone. It's been a few days since I've posted, and after, having a little crying session last night, I want to talk about grief. So, um, within the past 5 years, I've lost about 3 family members: my great grandmother, my grandfather, and my grandmother. I lost her this year in March. And I realized that I haven't allowed myself to grieve. And I'm sure a lot of people can fall into this category because, there's no time limit on grieving. And I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but I do. I have the problem of putting off my emotions and my feelings. Losing my grandfather really hurt me and affected me, but at the time I had to help my mom take care of my grandmother and also help my mom with figuring stuff out and my grandmother. So I didn't really get to truly allow myself to grieve and feel everything that I felt from losing my grandfather, who was like my second father, and losing my grandmother, who I took care of, and also who I visited all the time and talked to, and she's always been there since the day I was born, her and my grandfather. They were like my second parents, and losing her really, really hurt, and it still does. I think about my grandparents and my loved ones that I've lost quite frequently, and a lot of the time it brings tears to my eyes pretty quickly. And that's because I'm truly starting to see that I haven't let myself grieve. I haven't let myself feel all the feelings that come along with losing somebody that you love, that you're close to, and that has had a huge impact on your life. Losing my grandmother, she's like my second mother, and she'd always listen to me and, be unbiased, and I'd be able to share things with her that I wouldn't be able to share with my parents. She wouldn't judge, and she loved unconditionally, just like my grandfather. They both loved life and enjoyed life and smiled and were happy, and even when their health was failing and their time was coming, they still smiled, and their smile and their spirit would shine through in their eyes and in the smile and the way that they carried themselves. And that was probably the hardest things that I ever had to see, was witnessing their health just deteriorating and being able to see the drastic changes. And it was something that I kind of held inside just for the fact that I couldn't allow myself to grieve at the time. I was in school, I was working, or I just, had a lot going on, and I had to help my mother, and I thought that I had to be strong for her and for other people. But in that time of ignoring my own feelings, I realized that I repressed them and held them down so much that they still affect me today, like to the point where I feel like I just lost my grandparents. My grandfather's been gone for 3 years, and my grandmother, she's been gone since March. That one's really fresh. But instead of doing what I did with my grandfather and my great grandmother, I am trying to, realize my truth and also acknowledge that I still am in pain. I'm still hurting. I miss her, and it's a huge loss in my life. But I know for a fact that she wouldn't want me to wallow in that pain. So when those feelings come and that pain comes, and the missing her so much that it makes me cry, and last night, here's the truth. Last night, I cried, I sobbed. It was, one of those full body cries. But, I'm not ashamed. I need to feel those feelings, those emotions, because those emotions and feelings are tied to the person that I lost. that I love, not loved, because I will always love them. They're always with me. They're no longer in pain. They're no longer suffering. And I need to just, face the facts and not try to, pretend or put up a front or act like I'm fine when I'm not. This has been a problem that I've done pretty much majority of my life, but especially, being in the military, you kind of have to be mentally strong and tough. And, you can't really let things get to you or show that it gets to you. You pretty much push things down because you're trying to get a job done. And that's kind of the mentality that I've had. And I'm realizing with my anxiety, my depression, some PTSD, maybe, that I need to just feel and not be ashamed, not be scared, not worry about what other people are going to think because I'm crying or because of me being sad or whatever it may be. That's not something for them to worry about. That's me living my truth and being my authentic self. And I hope I'm not the only one that's, experienced something like this. But if you have, I would just, give you the advice of not being afraid of your feelings and your emotions and allowing yourself to feel. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's going to hurt. It's, you may cry uncontrollably. It may last a few days, weeks, whatever it may be. But the sooner that you allow yourself to feel those feelings and miss that person and just, allow yourself to feel that sense of loss, the less time that it's just going to be living inside of you and just building up and just being something that eventually is going to break free. And I know it contributed a lot to my panic attacks that I've been having that I didn't realize. I'm stressed, I'm worrying about things, thinking about a million things at once, and also dealing with, loss and feeling grief. And all of those things combined just leads to, a lot of pain and a lot of feeling sad and alone and whatever it may be. But I realize that I just need to be honest and be my authentic self, not try and pretend to be somebody I'm not, or pretend to be someone that I think people want me to be or that I should be. I should just be me and just be in the moment of my feelings and let them out, because letting them out is better than repressing them and keeping them in and letting them just pile up and get worse to the point where you can maybe have a breakdown or just feel at that point where you just can't deal with things anymore. And I just want you to know you're not alone, and if you need help, I encourage you to get help. I'm going to be getting help. I'm going to be going to therapy to deal with the things that I haven't dealt with, that I've ignored. I've ignored taking care of myself mentally and spiritually. I've held things in and repressed things and not allowed myself to feel these feelings. And it just got worse and worse to the point where I have really severe anxiety. I have depression. And I no longer want to be controlled by these things. I no longer want them to control my daily life and me being able to enjoy being, outside or in public places or loud places, or, being in situations that I can't control, and realizing that's normal. I can't control everything. Some things are just out of your control and there's nothing that you can do about it. So I just encourage you to, seek help if you need it. Don't be afraid. I'm always here if you need to talk. I'm a good listener. And, just know you're not alone. A lot of people experience grief and loss, and we all handle it differently. But I just encourage you to handle it in the best way possible and in the most healthy way possible for you, for yourself, and for your overall health.